Imagine Ireland at night. The hills are dark green shadows under a silver moon. Peat smoke hangs low in the air. There are certain sounds that make the human body react before the brain even has time to catch up. A branch snapping somewhere behind you when you're walking through a quiet forest. Footsteps in a hallway when you know you're the only person in the house. A whisper in the dark you can't quite explain. Your skin prickles. Your heart rate changes. Every instinct inside of you suddenly becomes alert. Human beings have always had this instinct about sound, especially sounds that don't quite belong. A long, hollow, unearthly cry drifts across hills and through valleys, slipping through the cracks of stone cottages and echoing along old country roads. Not a scream of terror, a wail so full of grief it feels like the earth itself is mourning. For centuries, the people of Ireland believed the sound meant one thing. Someone in the family was about to die. And if you heard her cry, death was already on its way. Welcome to the Violet Hour. Weird, but true. I'm Nicole, and tonight we're stepping into one of the most haunting figures in all of folklore, the Banshee. The word Banshee comes from the Irish being sidhe. The word Banshee literally means woman of the fairy mound. In ancient Irish belief, the countryside was filled with earthland hills called sidhe or fairy mounds. These places were thought to be entrances to the other world, a realm where spirits and supernatural beings lived alongside the human world. A banshee was a woman connected to that world, not a monster, not a killer, a messenger. Her job was very specific. Her job was to warn families when death was near. People didn't believe she caused death, only announced it. And she did it with her unforgettable cry. Descriptions of the Banshee change depending on who is telling the story. Sometimes she appears as a young woman with long flowing hair and pale clothing that glows in the moonlight. In other stories, she looks like a grieving mother or matron, dignified but overcome with sorrow. And sometimes she appears as something far older, a thin woman with wild hair, red eyes from endless crying, wrapped in a gray cloak or a burial shroud. Irish folklorists recorded all three versions. The Victorian writer Jane Francesca Wilde, she was Oscar Wilde's mother, is one of the great collectors of Irish folklore. She wrote that the Banshee might appear as a beautiful young woman from the family who died long ago, given the task of warning her descendants. Or she might appear crouched beneath trees, weeping with her face hidden. Either way, the meaning is always the same. Her cries mean death is close. The Banshee's voice is the most famous part of the legend. Witnesses describe it as something between a human wail and a strange kind of music. Some said it was high and piercing. Others said it sounded like a low lament carried across water. But almost every account describes the same feeling. The sound is pure grief. It's the cry of someone mourning a loss before the death has even happened. In many stories, the Banshee wails 3 times, and that third cry seals the warning. One of the most fascinating parts of the tradition is that the Banshee does not appear for everyone. According to Irish folklore, she is connected to the ancient Gaelic families, especially those names that begin with an O or a Mac, families with deep roots in Ireland's early history. Stories say the Banshee might follow the O'Neills, the O'Briens, the O'Connors, the O'Grady's, and other old clans whose ancestry stretches back centuries. In these traditions, she isn't considered a curse. She's almost a guardian spirit, someone assigned to watch over a family line and warn them when one of their own is about to cross from this world into the next. One of the most famous clan legends comes from County Clare, where the O'Brien family believed their banshee was a powerful spirit named Eval. According to tradition, she appeared before the Battle of Clontarf in the year 1014 and warned the Irish king Brian Boru that he would win the battle but lose his life. The message was tragic, but it was also a form of honor. Even in death, the family was not left unwarned. Stories about the Banshee weren't limited to medieval legends. People claimed to encounter them well into the modern period. One of the most famous accounts comes from Lady Anne Fanshawe, an Englishwoman living in Ireland during the 17th century. Of her experience, she said, "She woke one night to a terrifying scream and saw the pale face of a woman hovering outside her window in the moonlight. The figure cried twice more and vanished. The next morning, the household learned that a member of the family had died during the night." Experiences like that were recorded again and again across Ireland. Sometimes witnesses reported seeing a pale woman near a house, and sometimes there was no sighting at all, only the sound. The Banshee's cry closely resembles an ancient Irish mourning practice called keening. For more than 1,000 years, women known as keeners would sing laments at wakes and funerals. They were powerful emotional vocalizations, part song, part weeping. Keeners would rock back and forth, cry out in the name of the dead, praise their ancestors, and release the grief of the entire community in one overwhelming sound. To modern ears, it might have sounded eerie. To the people of Ireland, it was an essential part of mourning. The Banshee's cry sounds almost exactly like those keening laments, which has led some historians to wonder if the legend of the Banshee grew out of those very real funeral traditions. Imagine hearing that sound echo across a valley late at night. Without context, it could easily feel supernatural. During the 19th century, millions of Irish immigrants carried these traditions with them to America. In crowded neighborhoods of New York, Boston, Chicago, Irish families continued holding wakes that blended old customs with new surroundings. Stories describe rooms filled with candles and neighbors gathering around the body of the deceased for days. Sometimes the old laments returned. A mother or aunt might begin the cry. The sound rose through the tenement buildings the way it once echoed across the Irish hillsides. To outsiders, it seemed shocking. To the families themselves, it was simply grief given a voice. The Banshee legend traveled with them, lingering in the background like a memory of the homeland. Ireland isn't the only culture with stories like this. Many traditions include female figures who appear before death. In Scotland, there is the Banshee, a washerwoman spirit who cleans bloodstained clothing by rivers. In Welsh folklore, there is the Gwrach y Rhaibyn, a terrifying hag who cries outside the homes of the dying. In Mexico, there is La Llorona, the weeping woman who wanders along water searching for her lost children. And actually, if you go back to one of our old podcasts, you can hear about this story. These are different cultures, different stories, but the same human idea. Grief sometimes feels so powerful that people imagine it has a voice of its own. Belief in banshees has faded in the modern world. Science explains strange sounds. Electric lights push back the darkness that once made every hillside mysterious. But the legend hasn't disappeared. It still appears in Irish stories, songs, books, and films. Because at its heart, the banshee isn't really about monsters. It's human. The fear of losing someone we love, and the hope that somehow, someone, or something will be there to guide us when that moment comes. So if you ever find yourself walking through the Irish countryside at night, and the wind carries a strange sound across the hills, maybe it's only a fox calling in the dark, or maybe it's something older. A voice that has been mourning the dead for centuries, the woman of the fairy mound, the Banshee. That's the story for tonight. If you enjoyed this, please leave a review or follow. It really helps. If you've got a strange tale, do email me at violethourpodcast@gmail.com. Come say hi on social media. You can find all of this information and links about tonight's show in the show notes. Until next time, stay strange, stay curious. Good night.